What is going on, digital nomads? I'm really excited for this video I got for you guys today because today I will be going over 5 travel tips that you guys will need to know as digital nomads, because essentially about a year and a half ago I decided to pack up from the US, leave everything I had behind and start traveling the world full time. I've been to countries around Southeast Asia, and this year in 2019 I've been to 4 countries south of the United States, so Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. And so I definitely want to share with you guys the valuable information that I've learned from traveling and all of these tips and tricks that I've picked up on the road. And there are 5 tips that if you want to start this nomad lifestyle, you'll definitely want to consider when you go to your next destination. So today's video is sponsored by a company named Keeper. Now Keeper is a company where if you want to become your own Airbnb host, they help you make your properties profitable and get up and running on the platform. Very easy. They also have some amazing properties around Guatemala City, which is where I am right now, and I will be using Guatemala City as today's example in this video. But go ahead and check out their website after this video to learn more about what they have to offer as far as business and as far as properties. And as I mentioned in today's video, I'm coming live to you in Guatemala City. I'm actually in one of the Keeper studio apartments. It's quite lovely. I've really enjoyed my experience. But coming in the first category and the first tip that I have for you digital nomads while traveling is Wi-Fi and internet. Now for this topic, we'll go ahead and head outside to an area where I actually worked and was able to access a lot of coffee shops and internet, only about a 6-minute walk from this apartment right here. Alright, so this next topic about Wi-Fi and internet, I definitely had a interesting experience with Wi-Fi and internet in Guatemala City. So first of all, the Airbnb that I'm staying in, the internet, it was the basic plan essentially, and so it had 2 megabytes per second for the download and 1 megabyte per second for the upload, which is extremely slow. So here what I've discovered is internet is just kind of slow in the city, and sometimes you have to be prepared for this to happen when you're traveling to these different countries. I came to this area which you see behind me, which has a ton of coffee shops, right? And so I had to do this the first day I was here, and I didn't have much luck. The highest speeds I could find was like 5 megabytes per second for upload and download, which wasn't very helpful in my experience here. So the next day I checked out a couple of Starbucks, because really when all else fails, you depend on Starbucks, right? They usually have pretty good internet. No, the internet was going in and out. It was about the same, like 4 to 6 megabytes per second. It wasn't that great. I wasn't really feeling my coffee shop and my Starbucks experience, because I visited 2 Starbucks and 3 to 4 coffee shops, and not one of them gave me the speed that I needed to work properly online. So let's talk about what I did next. I came here to the same street and realized that there was a co-working on this street, and it was called Chamba, and I really liked this co-working. The speeds were pretty good. This is the co-working right here. You can see the name, Chamba. But yeah, I was really pleased with this co-working because it had pretty decent speeds, like 16 megabytes per second for the download speed, and then I think it was like 9 megabytes per second for the upload, which is pretty good. It fluctuated between 9 and 11. And so guys, just know if you're working with videos on YouTube and having to upload a lot, you definitely need to pay attention to the upload speed. What I recommend for you and what I usually use as a minimum is I like 20 megabytes per second for the download speed. Downloading is just essentially you surfing the internet, you saving things on the internet, you accessing different websites, sales funnels, online browsers. It's the speed at which the information on the screen is delivered to you, right? And so I recommend 20 megabytes per second. And then for the upload speed, I recommend a minimum, for me, what I need, 10 megabytes per second. Trust me, it makes life a whole lot easier. So the moral of the story is when you can't find anything else, I do highly recommend a co-working. This one was pretty affordable. For the week, I paid $30 US, and so that was pretty neat. I guess a lesson learned is next time when I'm unsure of anything about the internet in a specific city, what I would for sure recommend is to email different co-workings around the area in which you will be staying, just in case the internet doesn't work in your Airbnb, and ask them what is the download speed and the upload speed of the internet. A lot of times they don't know both, so just ask them like, hey, if you could please tell me both, I really need and explain like your work online and that type of thing. The reason why you want to ask co-workings as well ahead of time is because I went to a co-working here in Guatemala City. I think it was called Serendipity Labs. I got there and I paid for 4 hours to work there, which was pretty cool. It was only $6 for 4 hours. So I got there and worked at the Serendipity Lab co-working, and I could not believe it. The speed was only 6 and 6. It was not good. And they had high internet speed on the outside of the building, so it just shows like high internet in one country does not mean high internet in your country or what you believe to be high internet. So make sure you ask what the speeds are before you go and commit to paying for a month or a week or whatever in the co-working. All right, so the next travel tip that I have for you digital nomads is safety. Now it may sound obvious, but please do your due diligence when you're thinking about going to your next location, because more than likely it may be in Southeast Asia or it may be somewhere here in South America, Latin America, and typically there are some places and areas in each city or location where you're going to want to stay away. And I bring this up because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous and scared to come to Guatemala City because of the things I've heard with the robbings on the buses and just people being harassed and robbed on the street. And why I came here was because my little cousin, he's 19 years old, he's in college, but every year, every summer, he comes to Guatemala to help teach English and to teach mathematics and physics to Guatemalan kids. It's really, really cool, but he's the reason why I'm here and who convinced me to come, because he just raved about the culture and how awesome it was and his experience.
The people here are so nice, and the first time I came here, I pretty much had a family here. Yeah. So now that it's my third time here, I feel like I get to come, see them grow, and I get to be with them. And that within itself is enough reason for me to.
So of course, before I came here, I asked him, hey, you know, where do I not go? What are some areas to stay away from? And some tips that I have for you right away is to see if a city has Uber. Uber is generally very, very, very safe anywhere you go. And here in Guatemala, the same thing applies. So the first thing that we did when we got in the first Uber is, hey, where do we not go? What should we be aware of? And we were informed that we shouldn't take the red buses around the city, for example, because those are the most prone to getting robbed. And also the white taxis are pretty sketchy, and they have, you know, the same thing when they know you're an extranjero or a foreigner. You know, it's likely that these white taxis will rob you. So again, don't be frightened to go to a place, but again, you don't want to be naive. I definitely advise you just do your research. Once you get there, immediately ask the locals what they wouldn't do, where they wouldn't go, and you'll be just fine. All right, so the next category and the next tip that I have for you digital nomads while traveling is travel and transportation. So I had some tips for you guys while traveling. When I travel, I have a lot of valuables because I'm a YouTuber. I have my YouTube equipment. So one hack or one thing that I suggest that you guys do is make sure you carry on or bring with you your valuable items. So what I do is I separate my big luggage with my clothes and things that are not very valuable with my electronics. My carry-on bag has all my electronics, my cameras, my lights, my cards, my, you know, everything that's valuable to me into my business. So I separate those. I make sure that I get priority seating because I want those things to be in my possession and to be in my sight no matter what. That's very, very, very important to me. The other thing that I advise to you guys is make sure you know the visa requirements before you land in a country, because you think you might know or you think you might need a visa or can get a visa on arrival. However, it is very smart to go to their embassy website and figure out what your country requirements are for a visa. One thing that I did and do most of the time is I email the embassy and say, hey, what are the visa requirements for my country? And they will email you back, but they do take a while, so make sure you give it time. You know, email them months in advance. Another thing that I like to recommend is make sure you have a return ticket or a ticket showing that you're going to leave the country within a certain amount of time. My advice is 30 days because almost any country allows you to stay there for at least 30 days. So what I do is I book my ticket showing that I'm leaving the country. For example, I had a ticket showing I was leaving from Guatemala back to Colombia and ready to show them that I'm like, hey, I'm leaving in 30 days. And when you do that, you can book with Expedia, and they have this option where you can cancel for free within 24 hours. And so you can book your flight within your 24-hour travel cycle, and once you are good and you get through immigration, you can cancel that flight within 24 hours and get your money back and decide when you can really leave. And ask the immigration people at the desk, say like, hey, what is the most amount of time I can stay here legally? And if they say, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, then you can decide from there when you really want to book your ticket to leave the country. That's one travel hack that works every single time. Also, as far as transportation, I do like to figure out how I will get around ahead of time. Does the city have Uber? Does it have a taxi system with a taxi app where you can book taxis similar to Uber? If you're in Bali or Thailand or one of the countries in Southeast Asia, scooters are very popular. Definitely not my favorite because every time I took a scooter, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die. They're not safe, but you know, hey, they're the cheapest option. So you wanna figure out what the city offers. Maybe they have a good subway or metro system. Also, like I was in Playa del Carmen, and bicycles are a very economical way and good way to get around because the city is small, and taxis, you know, do add add up more there. So just explore your options ahead of time before you get to a city. All right, the next travel tip I have for you digital nomads is lodging on a budget. So I typically, I like my privacy, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't had to use hostels since I've been traveling the world with my online business. I've been lucky enough to be able to afford Airbnbs, but one tip that I wanted to give you guys with Airbnbs, if let's say you're a freelancer or you have a special skill, maybe you can negotiate with these Airbnbs and offer a service. I've done this before. You can ask them to send you a special offer on Airbnb in exchange for a service. So let's say if you're a photographer and you see a really nice Airbnb that you want, and maybe you would like for them to bring down the price, maybe you could offer your services as a photographer to take photos of the apartment, to leave a really good review, and tell them that, you know, you'll do this in exchange for them to give you a discount and reduce the price. A lot of Airbnbs, you know, like this. They like that you can offer something to them to help with their business, to help them grow, and to help them realize that, hey, maybe I wasn't doing this right. And so you can also say when you send them a message, you know, maybe they don't have that many reviews. I noticed you only had 3 or 4 reviews. I will leave you a really, really, really good review. I like to leave the apartment very clean when I leave. You can see that I have excellent 5-star rating on my reviews on my end, because as an Airbnb user, you have reviews as well. And believe it or not, Airbnbs really like to know when somebody is a good person, when somebody will leave the apartment clean. I mean, think about if you had a home, you would want somebody to stay there that is a clean person and is not going to leave it a complete disaster, right? So those are my tips for Airbnb if you're looking to travel more on a budget. And the last tip that I have for you digital nomads is to enjoy wherever you're going. Please don't forget to enjoy it. And I know this may sound obvious, like, duh, I'm gonna do things and attractions around the place, but really you have to make sure that you're not stuck up in your apartment, in the co-working, and you're just focused on work. Get outside, explore the city. For example, here, one thing I like to do is ask locals where they like to go, where they party, where they hang out, their top attractions, and that has always worked for me. Like, for example, here in Guatemala City, we went to El Mercado Central. It is kind of a bigger attraction, but it is somewhere where you can find the cultural aspects of Guatemalans. You can experience the food, the handcrafts, all the different fruits that they sell. You can find people making fresh tortillas. It's really fascinating. So that's a cool place where you can go and also see, I think it's La Catedral, a big church that they have in the city, and also the palace, and it's a government building that's huge. It's really cool to see. And so also, if I were you, I would document these things, because it's important to document your travels and share them with others, like I do on my channel, because people will ask you, like, well, hey, what was this like? And if you don't have pictures, if you don't have footage, you know, take the extra effort to do that. I know it's sometimes a pain when you're out there, but I would highly recommend to capture the experiences that you're having, because it'll help you remember the experiences more. It'll help you, you know, maybe build your brand. You can put this on your YouTube channel, you can put it on your blog, your social media accounts. So I highly, highly recommend that you document these journeys and these travels and put them on your social medias. I hope these tips were helpful for you digital nomads and you travelers and you work from home and online business people. I've definitely learned a whole lot. If you guys like this video, comment below and let me know something else you'd like me to answer or explain about different travel topics, working online, balancing business and travel and everything. I have a lot more information to talk about that I haven't shared, but please let me know topics that relate to that. You know, dating as a digital nomad, more digital nomad tips, digital nomad careers and jobs. Thank you guys for watching this video and edition on Guatemala City, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for all my videos on online marketing, digital nomad, entrepreneurship. My name is Marissa. You guys have been awesome. See you on the next video. Take care.